I'm going to do something very different today, and I'm going to ask, what do you guys think it would take for this channel to become extremely valuable? And what am I doing already that's working? And what am I doing already that's probably detrimental to the growth? One thing I know straight away from my own self-reflection is the judgment. And I'm aware that it often comes across as me judging because I'm sort of reflecting on past mistakes that I've made, and I'm really talking in a judgmental way to my past self, which is a bad thing to do to yourself anyway, whether you were recording it for broadcast or not. So it's something that I'm already aware of. And a big thing that I'm totally aware of, but it's not going to change because it just couldn't possibly change, is I changed so much. So I posted on Instagram this morning about how I am often the contrarian, going against the grain. And I've found myself on both sides of many debates at different stages throughout my life because I try ideas on and I don't necessarily identify with them. I just wear these ideas around for a while and see if they fit, see how they apply to actual reality and life. And I change my mind a lot. And that's not necessarily an issue for the audience, although I know it would definitely create a sense of, you wouldn't want to follow somebody who changes their mind too much. You would prefer to follow somebody who's sure and is delivering consistent content that, you know, the opinions and the core doesn't change, but due to the nature of what I'm exploring, the core is going to change and very fundamental beliefs are going to change, and I'm constantly going to be evolving. So that's going to continue. But the thing that I've realized is detrimental is my tendency to delete the entire past, like all the old videos so if I was on one side of the debate and I thought I knew what I was talking about and then I changed my mind, my tendency has been to delete a lot of content from the past. So there's this like process happening where this whole video journal is being refreshed with a totally different Kai every year or so, or even faster at times. And so like when people are like trying to figure out the narrative, it's all omitted. Like you can't actually see how I got to these conclusions, or like you can't see when I contradicted myself and disagreed with myself. And I thought I was doing a good thing by trying to homogenize, make all my content the same and make sure that I'm only delivering one message. But that's not me. And what I'm doing here is I'm exploring everything totally unbiased and wholeheartedly and not making any assumptions. So my mind is going to change all the time, and I'm never going to be that kind of leader who sticks to his guns and just preaches the same shit over and over again and is unshakable, because I actually think that is weaker than exploring everything and questioning everything. So I've done that heaps, and I can't undo it because I was so adamant that I didn't want all of my bad ideas and all the times that I got lost and all of the emotional outbursts and negative stuff. I was just lumped it all together as, this is just negative, this isn't going to help anybody. I was so adamant that I was correct about that I permanently deleted hundreds and thousands of hours of content. And that's a pretty significant realization to have too late. Like those videos probably would have been helpful so that you could see that there was a journey before this moment. And like, because I often throw back to like, oh, when I was going through this, when I was going through that, and this is why I have now reached this conclusion, and there's no evidence of that. And the whole reason why I started doing this in the first place was because I wanted to do like this evolving out loud type thing where I'm like sharing the journey for real, and then I'm like going back and I'm deleting all the parts of the journey that are probably important for people to see, like, oh, that was a really bad idea, like, oh, that's when he was the most lost, you can see it clearly. This is when he's completely taken over by some outside force and he's not even present anymore. Like, it probably would have been really good, but I got so self-conscious about, like, I don't want people to like follow me and get lost like I did, and just got so myopic, like closed-minded, thinking that's the only lens that you could see that through, that I just wanted to remove it all and didn't consider any other perspective. I was just so like, that was like another mistake. It was a time when I was lost. I was like, there's no value in any of this negative stuff. But it's like, that's what everybody's always saying, like, oh, we've been through stuff, it was hard, there were setbacks, we all make mistakes. And I had a catalogue of that. I had every single mistake that I ever made like catalogued in detail, almost on a daily basis, and I could see how far astray I went, like how far off my path I went. And it was fascinating for me, and I got so much out of it, but I just didn't want anybody else to see it. So I'm kind of making a commitment. I just deleted a whole bunch more content, but I'm like, it's the last content that I'm going to delete. And I didn't delete it because I disagree with it, I just deleted it because it was weak and it wasn't receiving a lot of engagement, and it was old content. So there's like a cutoff point. I would say since I bought the ute and I drove around Australia, everything after that I'm not deleting anymore. Like, I'm going to stick to, I'm just gonna accept if I contradict myself, or if I change my mind really dramatically, or some new evidence comes to light that just makes me look like an idiot. Like, I want to look like an idiot if I'm an idiot. There's never going to be a time where I've got it all figured out, and that's what the whole point of this thing was in the first place. So, like, what is it going to take for me to really solidify, well, I don't even want to solidify, that is definitely the wrong word, but what's it going to take for me to really step into this way of making content where, like, I really am able to be wrong about stuff, I'm able to make mistakes, I'm able to continue to evolve and grow and change dramatically, have these shifts, and it's not going to constantly throw everybody else off, throw you off, the viewer. And probably the people that are still watching up until this point, I think I'm about to answer my own question, can handle it, and they're watching it for this exact reason, because it's been fascinating to watch me figure it out, instead of coming out here like, this is what I know to be true, and like, this is how you should live your life, which is all the content that I just deleted. It was a bunch of the Take Action Tuesdays videos. I thought about deleting the whole thing because those videos are not my style at all. That's me telling people you should do this. So out of 52 of those videos, there's only 16 left, and they might actually end up all going away, and that will be the very last thing. But they were recorded like way back in time when I had no idea what I was talking about, and I was like really dabbling in some stuff that was not beneficial to my life. But some of the challenges that I gave were valid, and they were things that I did that dramatically improved my life. So that's why I'm keeping some of them. That'll be the last thing to go. That's the last thing I'll let myself delete, is the Take Action Tuesdays. And then I'm just gonna be myself. Finally. It only took all this time. It's funny, there's a golf course here and there's a picnic area right beside it, and what I've discovered is this is a gay hookup site, so I get quite distracted sometimes. I'm like, what's going on over here? What's going on over there? That's another thing that I'm trying to do with the journals, is I'm trying to just roll with whatever happens. I'm not being so strict with myself, like you have to stay focused and talk about the subject for the entirety of the video. if a bird shits on you, which happened the other day, or somebody comes and interacts with you, or somebody walks into your space, like try to roll with it and don't just like immediately give up. And I think that will help the content evolve into something much more engaging and watchable and interesting. Like I think I've been saying for a long time that I want, like when the camera's on, I want to allow everything around me to still play a part, like, and my crazy goal is to just be able to journal and collaborate with strangers as they choose to participate, but I just still don't know how to invite that in a way that would be organic and non-intrusive. So it's like something that I'm still exploring. I've done it really intentionally and with like preparation with a few people on this journal. There's a video called 2-Player Mode with Calum, and I think the video with Matt is still up, talking about UFOs and extraterrestrials, which weirdly is like another path that I kind of invested too much time and energy into when I really needed to focus on like my own earthly tasks and reality. Man, flies buzzing around. I'm getting flashbacks from being in the desert with millions of them. Like you can't even open your mouth and they're all crawling up your nose and stuff. It's like one of my biggest things that I still haven't overcome is being unable to record with anybody in my vicinity, even if it's like a 10-meter radius. I think I'd make it weirder because I try to isolate myself and seclude myself so much. I'll walk like 100 meters away from civilization so that there's nobody here, so that when somebody does enter my field, it's like, then it's weird. Whereas if I just flicked my camera on in the middle of a packed beach in Bondi and started talking, nobody's going to interrupt that. There's no way that it's going to be interrupted. So that's a new insight in the present moment. Maybe stop trying to create an environment and just enter the environment and be in the environment and accept it for what it is. I've been doing that. I've got a whole bunch of videos, right, where I look really confident and I'm surrounded by all of my things that make me get distracted and uncomfortable, and I'm just totally delivering a message and I'm really focused, and when I watch them I'm like, oh, I wish I could be like that all the time, but I still can't switch it on like that. It's like a fluke when it happens, to be honest. But at the same time, I think like 95% of the time when I trust myself and I try to switch it on, it works. And like if I've got an idea in my head, or I'm having a new insight and I'm really interested in it and I want to communicate it, and I turn the camera on, like it's a very high probability that I'll record an interesting journal. It's very rare that like I can't do it, but it's just the apprehension and like overthinking before it. Like I'm just like, oh, what if something happens, or somebody is listening to me, or somebody comes even closer, all those kinds of things. But I'm getting more and more confident, and I think this is one thing where it's a skill that's being slowly developed as I challenge it. But you even saw the guy walking in the background before, so that's all it takes to throw me off, and I don't like that. But yeah, I think that's a new insight. Don't try to isolate yourself and seclude yourself from everything. Maybe just start recording in public. But there's a reason why I get nervous around people, and it's because as a filmmaker in the past, when we've been filming like high-end productions and stuff in public spaces where we just need this shot, members of the public have gotten in my face about recording. So I'm always like kind of expecting confrontation and conflict because like I'm recording. So it's like a respect thing that it started out as. Like I wanted to give other people space, and then I've kind of forgotten the motivation behind it, and now I'm just here like trying to be invisible while I'm recording a video. I'm going to reclaim that. I'm going to start recording whenever I want. I'm really pushing, like, I'm going to get to a place where I can journal anywhere, anytime, wholeheartedly, without any insecurity. And I think, again, that will help grow this channel. Who wants to watch somebody who's like nervous and insecure and can't focus just because there's a minor distraction, you know? I want to be more confident, and I want to be more articulate, and yeah, I just want to keep growing. I think that's really the answer to my own question, the real answer. Like, there's a bunch of things that you could probably answer in the comments below about what it's going to take for me to grow this channel, but I think the real answer is I actually need to keep growing, and the channel will grow once I reach a point where it's watchable and it's engaging and people are having insights and like enjoying the growth, and it's no longer like a practice thing. Like, I don't know when that's going to be. I feel like I'm always practicing, and I've never really achieved a degree of mastery with making this kind of content. But at the same time, it's not like any other content I've ever seen. And I know I've seen people do it here and there, but I haven't seen anybody really do it consistently. And if you watch other people who do this consistently in this like raw way where they're actually just evolving out loud kind of thing, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see a few different ways of being. It'd be a really helpful inspiration to me just to see like somebody else give it a go, because that's one of the issues. Like, there's not a lot of examples of people just like genuinely journaling their progression through life. And so it's like something that I've developed on my own, which is what makes it unique and original, which is cool. And maybe by the time I do see somebody else like me that's like really just like cruising along doing it all the time, I'll already have it figured out. I feel like I haven't figured out. I've figured out a lot, and I'm pretty happy with what this is now. But it might be getting a bit boring for anybody who's watching now, because I'm just reflecting on my growth and stuff. But that's what this is. Oh man, if you get anything out of these videos, please let me know what the hell it is down in the comments, and subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to pass on any journals that you find fascinating to other people that also might find it interesting or fascinating. Don't know why I went for interesting.